this competition to match that of Bobby Stokes in '76.
As the TV cameras pan in on a tinfoil FA Cup with the numbers 7-6 on it. That's that one off the checklist already before we're even underway tonight. And the Southampton players taking off their tracksuit tops to reveal those commemorative yellow jersey, which, by the way, have got the signatures of the players from the 1976 FA Cup final embroidered into each and every one of them.
And they don't have the current players' names on either, do they, Chris? So there's, very much like the kit was back in '76, just the number on the back, no name of the players, as we see with all the top flight teams nowadays.
Not the commentator's preference, that one, by the way.
It can make it a little bit tricky, can't it?
Right, away we go then. Arsenal have made Southampton change ends. So the Premier League side, the Premier League leaders, Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, going from right to left in this first half towards the chapel stands in the home strip, as Franny mentioned, of the red and the white jersey, the white shorts and the red socks. And Southampton here at home, going from left to right. Southampton 7th in the Championship. They were in the playoffs going into the weekend's fixtures. Obviously they weren't involved yesterday when everyone else was on Good Friday in the EFL, so they've slipped out of the top 6, but they're in a very prominent position. But this is a real step up for them tonight, as Ross Stewart for the first time tries to get Fellows away down the right hand side. Fellows a little step over into the Arsenal penalty area. A good challenge on him by Gabriel, who then, having slid in and made that tackle, leans over Tom Fellows on the ground and roars in his ear. And it's a Southampton throw on this right hand side, and they quickly move the ball back towards the halfway line.
Yeah, good build up initially from Southampton, and that was almost like a roar, as you say, from Gabriel to Tom Fellows, as if to say, try knocking it past me and beating me for pace again. Gabriel more than matched it, slid in with a good challenge, and Tom Fellows himself now knows almost he's going to have to do something a little bit different other than just knocking it into space and thinking he can race past his defenders.
Gabriel, who scored the only goal of the game when these two last met in the FA Cup, and it was an own goal here which won the game for Southampton. That was back in 2021.
Was it Kyle Walker-Peters? Struck it all.
It was.
Given the goal too, albeit, as you say, coming off maybe a visiting player.
And you've done well to remember that, because nobody was in the ground that day, because it was still during the restricted attendance because of COVID. As Havertz collects the ball on the halfway line, let me give you the team news that we were bringing you pre-match here on 5 Live. 7 changes for Arsenal from the League Cup final as they work the ball out to the right-hand side, halfway inside Southampton's half. Martin Ødegaard, he's one of those returning to the Arsenal team. Back to Dowman on that right-hand side, the 16-year-old who gets a start for Arsenal tonight, having had that brilliant impact in their last Premier League game. Clipped into the box for Havertz. Havertz lost control of it after it came off his chest, and Southampton have managed to bring it away, and they've got the chance to escape here. Down the left-hand side, Chienza running with the ball. He's 2 up with him. Chienza into the penalty area. He's gone down. He wants a penalty, and not given by referee Sam Barrett. Chienza still down inside the Arsenal penalty area, and Tonda Eckhart down in front of us, the Southampton head coach, stands with arms outstretched either side of him, as Arsenal do hear the sound of the referee's whistle. But that is an Arsenal free kick inside the centre circle, and Chienza down the other end of the pitch still asking the questions.
Well, there was a little flick out, wasn't there? And Chienza just cut the ball back with his left foot. You've got to say maybe there's an element of he ran in and initiated the contact, but that's certainly one way to upset the home supporters for sure, especially when shortly afterwards he gave a free kick to the Arsenal side. Referee Sam Barrett tonight, I'm sure with VAR there would have been a check. There's certainly no recourse to that. But
well, if there is no contact there from Gabriel, he doesn't really need to go over, does he, Chienza?
Well, he did just cut the ball back, didn't he? But it's what we see a lot nowadays, Chris, isn't it? If there's that contact in the penalty area, players do go to ground, as we know. So, it takes a big call from the official to try and get it spot on.
They would have had a look at that. James Bell, the VAR tonight, determined that wasn't enough to overrule the decision. So Southampton 0, Arsenal 0. I still haven't been able to give you that team news yet because of the the frantic start to this game as Miles Lewis-Skelly slips on the halfway line, got himself in a bit of trouble there. The Arsenal defender helped out by Gabriel, who very calmly gives it to Martinelli on the halfway line. And now Arsenal through the middle of the park. Noorgaard tries to find the pass. That's intercepted by Southampton's young midfielder Cameron Bragg, the 21-year-old. Here's Ross Stewart holding it up for Saints. Chienza halfway inside Arsenal's half. He's back in the Saints team tonight. He's already having an impact on this game as well in these first few minutes, but the Saints attack breaks down. So the Arsenal team for you: Kepa Arrizabalaga continuing in goal despite his error in the League Cup final against Manchester City. White, Mosquera, Gabriel and Lewis-Skelly in the back line. Ødegaard and Noorgaard with Havertz just ahead of them in Arsenal's midfield, and then Martinelli and 16-year-old Max Dowman either side of Gabriel Jesus. There's no Declan Rice, no Bukayo Saka, no Leandro Trossard in the Arsenal squad tonight. That is worth pointing out, as Ødegaard, outside of his left boot, tries to force it into the Saints penalty area, looking for Gabriel Jesus. Too much on it, and it runs through to Daniel Peretz, 0-0. So he's the Southampton goalkeeper, the on-loan Bayern Munich man. Bree, Harwood Bellis, Wood and Manning in the Southampton defence. Bragg and Yander in midfield. Fellows, Azaz, Chienza and Stewart. 5 changes for Southampton from their last league game against Oxford. They're without Flynn Downs tonight, Franny Benali, which is a big blow to lose him from their midfield.
Yeah, he's been a top performer in the Southampton side this season, and certainly sort of is a bit of an enforcer in that midfield, working to win the ball back for the side and protecting the back four. But I guess unsurprisingly, we've seen in these early minutes this evening, Chris, Arsenal with a lot of possession, but Southampton looked pretty dangerous a couple of times when they've pinched the ball and raced away.
Here's Dowman, who's doing just that now for Arsenal from the halfway line, running up to the edge of the box, shoots left-footed, and it was a routine save for Daniel Peretz down to his right-hand side, the Israeli international Peretz.
Yeah, save you'd expect Peretz to make, certainly, but again, showing the positivity that Dowman has, driving at the Saints players. Not too much really to test the goalkeeper then, but Daniel Peretz has been a real positive player since he's joined from Bayern Munich on loan, hasn't he? I think he's kept 6 clean sheets in 13 championship appearances, Chris, so it brings that stability and confidence to not just the side, but certainly the players that are playing immediately in front of him.
And actually 4 clean sheets in his last 5 home games as well, which has made life awkward. That's a heavy touch by Mosquera, seized upon by Stewart, who is now moving that ball, manipulating it under his left foot on the left wing, and there's more joining in now for Southampton. Yander trying to force the pass through. In fact, it was Bragg who attempted to play it, Cameron Bragg. It was broken up by Arsenal, and Arsenal come at Southampton. Brilliant 7 minutes so far of FA Cup quarter-final football. Southampton 0, Arsenal 0, as Dowman just takes a check halfway inside Southampton's territory, comes back in field for Noorgaard, and then Ødegaard with his left foot sweeps it out to this left-hand side for Jesus. A couple of yards outside the Southampton penalty area. Arsenal going from right to left. Lewis-Skelly comes short. Didn't mean to let it roll underneath his boot. Took his eye off it, and Saints once again break on Arsenal here with Finn Azaz, and it is essentially a 4-on-4 here. Finn Azaz just looking around for options. Out to this right-hand side for Fellows. Fellows in the box, onto his left foot, shoots low. Gabriel plunges at his feet, makes another important interception, the Arsenal centre-back.
Yeah, very good challenge again from Gabriel. This time, rather than trying to knock it past him and beat him for pace, he tries cutting inside Gabriel, Tom Fellows, and again another wonderful challenge from the Arsenal defender. But Saints have got Arsenal on the back foot at the moment.
They certainly have. 0-0 between the Championship team and the Premier League leaders, as it comes back towards Nathan Wood, the former Swansea defender, across to Harwood Bellis, 15 yards inside Arsenal's half. Here's Fellows again, former West Bromwich Albion winger, one of Southampton's big buys, having come down from the Premier League last season to try and immediately get back there. Fellows, who was so good in the Championship with the Baggies 12 months ago, as the Southampton move comes to nothing, and Ødegaard retrieves it for Arsenal and then quickly lifts it over the top, and it's a lovely ball for Martinelli on this left wing. Nobody up in the box at the moment. Martinelli's making tracks inside the area, right-footed shot, spins up and away and behind, off Bree, and Arsenal have their first corner of the game after 9 minutes.
Yep, an early test for this formidable Arsenal side from set pieces and corners especially, so Southampton would have done their homework on this, I'm sure. But it was a great pass from Ødegaard, wasn't it? wonderful ping. Martinelli racing away, and as you say, it was that good a ball and that much distance that the ball was played over, that there was no Arsenal players really to be able to support Martinelli, so he had no choice but to go on and take the shot on. But what a start to this cup tie, isn't it? Extremely lively, both sides really going for it right from the whistle.
So right in front of the 4,000 or so Arsenal supporters who are in the corner of St Mary's, between the Kingsland and the chapel stand, if you know your St Mary's geography, for this first Gunners' corner of the night, which is a short one from Arsenal, and they've worked it to the edge of the penalty area. Martinelli on the end of it, and the touch to send it up and over his own crossbar was a really quite critical one for Taylor Harwood-Bellis. He was on the edge of the 6-yard box, and he lunged his head towards the ball and flicks it behind for another Arsenal corner. What
a crucial header that was. I mean, Daniel Peretz was diving and he was stretching for it. Whether he would have got to it, who knows, but it was a wonderfully worked corner from Arsenal. But the skipper this evening, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, in the right place at the right time, but they have a second corner in succession to defend now, Southampton.
And this one's coming from the left-hand side from Gabriel Martinelli. We're on 5 Live, BBC Sound. Southampton 0, Arsenal 0. Quarter-final of the FA Cup. Martinelli, right-footed, deep this time. Free header at the back post, on it comes and all the way through. And Arsenal are going to have yet another opportunity to try and utilise their great weapon, their set pieces, as Manning has nodded that away, out of danger.
Just seen the majority of the Arsenal players either in line with the penalty spot. No players advanced other than Odegaard in the 18-yard box ahead of the near post. Everyone's at the far post.
And Kai Havertz is the one inside the 6-yard box at the moment. Norgaard's gone in there now as well. And it comes from Martinelli, back in by Gabriel, downward header, off the floor and up into the grasp of Peretz, the Southampton goalkeeper.
Yeah, safely into Peretz's hands, and we spoke about how he's made a difference to this Southampton side this season. But Van der Eckhart just stood in the corner of his technical area. Mikel Arteta doing exactly the same. Both managers mirroring one another on the touchline, but they'll be pleased, certainly Van der Eckhart, with the start that Southampton have made. Certainly been a match for Arsenal from what we've seen in these early stages.
So we have Manchester City into the FA Cup semi-finals. We have Chelsea into the FA Cup semi-finals. One more game to come tomorrow, West Ham against Leeds United. We'll have that one live for you on 5 Live as well from 4:30. But who is going to be the third name going to a Wembley semi-final? That of Southampton or Arsenal? That is the question tonight at St Mary's.
Well, you know who I'd like it to be, clearly, Chris, wouldn't you?
But you are exclusively neutral tonight.
I am indeed,
Franny.
I am indeed. But look, it's interesting to see Southampton actually, you know, they're playing a pretty high line. They're certainly not starting this game to try and just sit back, defend on the edge of the 18-yard box. They're asking a lot of questions of Arsenal and pressing them, trying to pinch those balls before they do break away, which is probably resulting in the end-to-end game that we're seeing so far.
Well, he did say, didn't he, Van der Eckhart, that he noted a couple of possible chinks in the Arsenal armour in terms of ways to hurt them tonight. They're going toe-to-toe at the moment with the Gunners as Dalman receives it on the right wing from Mosquera. Edge of the Southampton penalty area, onto his left foot, swings it in towards Norgaard. The header won initially by Harwood-Bellis and then picked up for Stewart. Stewart in a foot race, he's pretty quick, deceptively quick actually. He reached that ball ahead of Gabriel, who had a slight head start on him, and then Bragg sending it into the box. It's a lovely ball as Zaz brings it down on his chest, tries to tee it up for Chienza on the left wing, and intercepted. Who's back there? Dalman, the 16-year-old, in the right-back area to stop the Southampton attack.
It was a brilliant switch of play, wasn't it? What a wonderful pass. My initial feeling was it was handball from Finn Zaz. Maybe that would have been shown if there'd been any interaction with VAR. But we're just seeing a decision here.
Well, initially Sam Barrett didn't deem that the tackle on Kai Havertz was worthy of blowing his whistle from Yanda, but after a second or so he then decided, the referee, that he was going to penalise Kasper Yanda, the German midfielder who Southampton paid over £10 million to Nuremberg for back in August, and it's an Arsenal free kick just inside Southampton's half on the right.
Yeah, there was that reaction, wasn't there, from the Arsenal players and the supporters, but I've got to say Kasper Yanda is not that kind of player, but he did sort of lead into the challenge a little bit with 2 feet. You can see why the referees made that decision.
They used to say you weren't that type of player, didn't they?
Exactly.
Here's Nourgaard, given away by the Arsenal midfielder from the halfway line. Loose pass by him. So Wood has got a bit of time, the Southampton defender, to go back to his goalkeeper, Daniel Peretz, who's happy to play with his feet, by the way. Peretz has gone back to Wood again, who returns it to his goalkeeper. Arsenal are trying to get a high press on Saints to catch them out, and they have forced the error because the pass is over Bree's head, intercepted by Lewis Skelly. Martinelli's got it. Lewis Skelly continues into the box, left-hand side. His cross is intercepted and cleared away, and Southampton will be breathing a slight sigh of relief over that because Arsenal forced the error there.
Yeah, you've got to say they just forced Saints into making that longer pass, which wasn't really percentage-wise in their favour, but Saints managed to just get away with it on that occasion.
Chienza's got the wrong side of White down the other end. Left side of the box, looked to pull it back for Stewart. And the touch was from Gabriel, I think, again there. Keeps getting himself in the right place. It's his trademark. That's why they're talking about him as a possible player of the season. Here's Havertz down the other end for Arsenal, still 0-0, but 15 quality stacked minutes from both teams. Martinelli back to Havertz to the byline and taken off his toes and put behind for an Arsenal corner.
That last Saints attack, Chris, it was Christian Nourgaard who just pretty much read that cut back, wasn't it, from Leo Cienza. A great bit of positioning. I think he almost like offered the pass to him and double bluffed him in a way to play it and just step in and calmly stride away with the ball. But what a cup tie this is. I mean, we're seeing action at both ends. Numerous corners already for Arsenal.
A little more balanced than the two cup finals we've already seen today. I don't think that's stretching it.
No, not at all. I mean, it's certainly one to whet the appetite.
So another Arsenal corner. They haven't managed to produce their usual quality from anyone so far. It's short to Ødegaard. Lewis Skelly's got a lot of time though. Lewis Skelly's given it to Dauman. Dauman chops it onto his left foot. Was almost stumbling as he got his shot away. Then Gabriel does the same. That's blocked. Mosquera nods it back to Gabriel, but all of this happening on the edge of Southampton's penalty area. Here's Lewis Skelly again. Lewis Skelly with his left foot towards Gabriel Jesus with the blue boots on. The Brazilian lofts it in and Perez just watches it away, drifting past his left-hand post for a Southampton goal kick, 0-0.
Yeah, seen a frustrated expression on Gabriel Jesus's face. Probably just he's looking to try and find the runs of the Arsenal players. Kai Havertz on that occasion, but just overhitting it a little bit. But it's one of those ones that can easily sort of creep into the side netting past the goalkeeper, Chris, isn't it? You know, you think there's someone going to get a little touch on it, whether it's a defender or a striker. No one actually does. It's overhitting quite easy to just sort of off-foot the goalkeeper.
Oh, mistake in the Arsenal backline. Chienza's away. Mosquera's trying to get back there. Chienza goes round the goalkeeper and he's overcooked the situation, and the chance has gone for Southampton. But what a chance it was. Mosquera was breathing down the back of Chienza, and Kepa Arrizabalaga, who came out, probably deserves some praise as well, the Arsenal goalkeeper, for forcing Chienza just too far away from goal.
Yeah, and it was the header that came off Gabriel, I think. And then Cienza, he looked like he's away, he's goal side of his marker. But you've got to give credit to Mosquera, he does well. Cienza just taking the ball past Kepa, but just that little bit too far, as you mentioned, Chris. But wonderful defending just to stay with his runner from Mosquera.
Well, I have to say, it's rare in the first 18 minutes of Premier League games this season that Arsenal have conceded as many opportunities as they have here so far at St Mary's.
Yeah, Southampton have started really well.
As Dauman is attempted to be picked out by White, and then the foul by Nourgaard. Free kick to Southampton. Southampton 0, Arsenal 0, and Cienza is down, holding his side, the Brazilian, who will be feeling mightily disappointed he couldn't seize his moments. He's got a great story, hasn't he, Leo Cienza?
Yeah.
Only 2 years ago he was playing third-tier football in Germany.
Very unusual and unconventional route through to playing at this level now, isn't it? And anyone that doesn't know his story should look into it. It's fascinating. But just going back to that chance he did have, Chris, so many players tend to take that shot on before trying to go past the goalkeeper like he did. Look, in hindsight now, probably he didn't do that because the ball just got stuck under his feet a little bit, and he probably had to take that extra touch, which enabled the defender to get back and make the challenge. But yeah, what a great start to this game.
Goalless as Fellows, making a nuisance of himself, wins the free kick, the combination of Lewis, Skelly and Noorgaard, who were either side of him. Well, they really are giving this a go, Southampton. There is not even a sense for a moment that they are going to try and shut up shop here against Arsenal. They are right at their throats here.
Very much so. You know, we've probably seen a lot, as you mentioned, Premier League sides not sort of approaching it like that at all. So, all credit to them.
Arsenal's FA Cup journey so far, they won in the third round just down the road from here at Southampton's great rivals Portsmouth, beat them by 4-1. Though they were behind in that game, we shouldn't forget. Wigan in the fourth round, 4-0, all of those in the first 27 minutes, those goals, and then a win at Mansfield, which was a little tighter than Arsenal would have liked in round 5.
Yep, Madueke, and there's a scoring on that occasion to see them through to the quarter-finals.
Doncaster, Leicester and Fulham, the teams that Southampton have beaten, Premier League Fulham. Dowman into the box, did he lose his footing? He was under some pressure from Ryan Manning, shoulder to shoulder with the youngster. And it's come off Dowman, gone behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, again, positive run from Dowman, but Ryan Manning doing very well, standing up. Dowman again, a little bit like Cienza, just trying to take it that little bit further. But Dowman on this occasion, running out of pitch. You have to put it down, some good defending by Manning.
A very good week with the England under-19s. Max Dowman with a goal, a very good goal actually against Portugal, and a couple of assists as well.
It was outstanding, wasn't it? You can see why there's a lot of talk and a lot of excitement about this young 16-year-old youngest player to make a Premier League appearance. Is that correct?
Yeah, certainly youngest Premier League goal scorer, as he was against Everton with that goal from running from well inside his own half when he sealed the deal for Arsenal, which felt like a very significant result at the time in terms of the Premier League picture. Arsenal 9 points clear at the top, 7 games to go for them. You know, Manchester City do have a game in hand, and we know they've got to go to Manchester City as well.
It's going to be a mouthwater in that one.
Certainly is. That will be live on 5 Live for you, that game. That is one not to miss, 2 weeks tomorrow, as Martinelli from this left-hand side, going between two, keeping the ball like a magnet at his feet, the Brazilian, until eventually a third body was needed in the form of James Bree to clear it away.
Yeah, it's so hard when you're a defender and you've got a player like that with the kind of skill and pace and desire to drive at you like he did. He got away from Bree initially, and Bree was relieved that the player playing in front of him, Tom Fellows, worked back just to double up on Martinelli and see out the danger.
There's another one who's got the air miles in over the past few days, Gabriel Martinelli, having been away with the Brazil squad playing in the United States. Noorgaard had some international disappointment himself over the past few days. Swept to the right-hand side for Dowman. Dowman's in the Southampton box now, tees it up for White. White's pulled back for Noorgaard. Jesus with his back to goal, trying to hang on to the ball desperately in there. Gabriel Jesus, he couldn't do it. Surrounded by a cluster of bodies. It's away as far as Ødegaard, who bounces past the challenge of Ross Stewart. Arsenal beginning to get a grip on this FA Cup quarter-final game now. A few minutes of possession for them, still 0-0. 22.5 minutes played. Out to the right-hand side for Arsenal with White. White's cross blocks, and it's a corner off Cienza.
Excellent play from Ødegaard. You know, just having flashbacks to what we've been used to seeing from him as a player. Just jinking with the ball in that midfield area and releasing his teammate. Just seeing a replay of the ball in from Ben White. Cienza saying it might have hit my arm, but I had my arm across my chest. I think Ben White is insinuating that there might have been a little bit of a handball there instead of a corner.
Yeah, there was a puff of the cheeks, wasn't there, from Ben White with those rosy red cheeks to say, oh, I don't know about that. Back in the England fold over the past few days, Ben White. Arsenal with another corner. Southampton of the Championship 0, Arsenal 0, and it's a short one, which Havertz has come over to help out with, as Arsenal again try and utilise something a bit different tonight. They've done that a few times now. Martinelli back to that right-hand side, and then Havertz has collected it inside the box, cleared away as far as Ødegaard. Ødegaard just trying to drift infield, and then his back heel, and it comes back to Dowman, there's no room for his shot. Martinelli, but he's a good 25 yards from goal now. And then White, and then poked into the box for Dowman. Dowman between challenges, and it was broken up by Bragg, I think, who got his boot in the way, and he's there again to head it away for Southampton, but they are feeling the weight of Arsenal pressure all of a sudden, Franny Benali.
Yeah, most definitely, and it was some good defending from Southampton, but you know, there's those long periods of time where Arsenal just popping the passes around, waiting for an opportunity to either pick a runner out or deliver the ball into the box, a little bit like now.
And here they come, moving it swiftly. Jesus, after good work on the right-hand side. Shot from the edge of the box, Peretz pushes it away. That was from Ødegaard, and it was heading towards the bottom corner as well. Picked up again by Dowman, who swings it in, looking for Havertz. It was a smidge too high for him, but Southampton have got 11 players behind the ball at the moment, and they are right on the edge of their penalty area. Back in by Martinelli. Gabriel is in there for Arsenal, the centre-back, and it's cleared up and over his head by Fellows, and then Mosquera tries to nod it backwards, and Arsenal rebuild from the halfway line with Lewis Skelly.
It's almost like the kind of attacking and defending that you see in the last remaining moments of a game, Chris, isn't it? You know, there's that much energy and tension in it, but we're seeing it right from the early stages of this game. Southampton doing well to keep Arsenal out, but you've got to say Arsenal look a threat.
Martinelli to the byline, pulls it back, here's the chance, Peretz with the save, brilliant one, it was Ødegaard. I think it took a deflection on its way through too, and did Peretz get a hand on that, or did that just spin away?
Well, the referee's given it as a goal kick, so it looks initially like Peretz did get a hand to it. Yeah, maybe he just didn't. Ødegaard doesn't catch it sweetly. He sort of bobbles it into the floor. But Peretz is certainly, the way he's diving, he thinks it's going in. It's the wrong side of post from Arsenal's perspective, and Mikel Arteta just turns away in frustration. The kind of opportunity that anyone for Arsenal would have loved to have had.
Well, particularly Ødegaard, considering the fact he's only got one Arsenal goal this season.
Yeah, exactly, and he pulled Peretz into a save a little bit earlier in that attack from Arsenal, but they're dangerous. They move the ball so well, Arsenal. The timing of the movement, the runs, the passes. It's hard to defend for long periods of time.
And they've struggled to defend Max Dowman there, who went past Ryan Manning before he could even blink. And he has hacked him to the ground, and we have a yellow card out of the pocket of tonight's referee, Sam Barrett, for the Irishman, Ryan Manning.
Not really getting anything to the ball. Correct decision with a yellow card, but that now puts pressure on Ryan Manning, having a youngster like Max Dowman who will drive at you, look to take you on. Ryan Manning is now walking that tightrope of having been issued a yellow card less than 30 minutes into this match.
And the schoolboy, as he still is, Max Dowman readjusting his shorts and his shin pads, having won that free kick. Dowmania, as they are dubbing it now. The clamour to see him play, to see him do well. And Arsenal take that free kick and they send that ball to the right wing from Ødegaard to Dowman so he can have another go at Manning. And in it comes, and Peretz claims it inside his 6-yard box, with Gabriel the only one lurking beyond him. And then Peretz quickly tries to overarm, bowl it out upfield, and that is halted by Miles Lewis Skelly.
Yeah, well read from Skelly. Watch the ball all the way.
Here comes Dowman again. He's running at Manning again. He's in the box. He's going towards the byline. Manning with the block. That's the decision. Goal kick must have come back off Dowman. And Ryan Manning punches the air. He celebrates that moment. He's got one back on Max Dowman with that tackle.
Yeah, and this is going to be a fascinating match-up now. Again, Dowman doing well to drive to the touchline. He looks to whip the ball in, but I think correctly, good defending from Ryan Manning, getting the decision on this occasion. But it's going to be a fascinating match-up for the rest of the hour or whatever we have left remaining in this game this evening.
They're not seeing any of the ball at the moment. Southampton is still 0-0, but Arsenal have had a good 8-9 minutes now where they have almost relentlessly been inside Southampton's half, as they are here with Ødegaard. There's a solitary bright yellow balloon bouncing across the pitch inside Southampton's penalty area as Jesus and Ødegaard, and this is really well worked. Dowman with the right-footed shot, and Perez just pushes it behind a double arm thrust towards the ball for another Arsenal corner.
And you're right in what you're saying, Chris. Arsenal definitely cranking up the pressure, and they're firing quite a few shots and opportunities in on Daniel Peretz's goal now, aren't they? All pretty standard saves. There was that little concern that Peretz had from the effort from Ødegaard recently, but You know, that's numerous corners Arsenal have won now. They're asking a lot of questions. Southampton are having to do a lot of defending.
That Dalman shot went perilously close to that yellow balloon, by the way. We didn't want another bent moment, did we? Nearly had one. And I think someone's popped it now, which is probably advisable, and I think a Southampton player as well. It was Ryan Manning who's getting that deflated balloon off the pitch. So, Arsenal with the corner from the right-hand side. We're up towards the half-hour mark now at St Mary's, and again from Arsenal, as has been the time tonight, it seems to do it on multiple occasions. A short one, Ødegaard into the box, across it comes, headed away by Harwood Bellis inside his 6-yard box. Some exemplary defending from him again. Ødegaard centrally outside Saints penalty area. Jesus tries to clip it away from Bragg, but it was too much of a touch, and it's out for a goal kick.
You know, Arsenal do it so well, Chris, don't they? They overload the fast stick with the big guns, the more physical players. So clearly Southampton have to go and deal with that and mark them, but they work the overload at the short corner. They had 4 against 3 against Southampton. It enabled them to just zip a few passes around and get in with that ball in behind the Southampton defence. They do it so well. But Southampton so far standing strong.
It's even more of a mismatch tonight than it was when these two met in the FA Cup final in 2003, a game that was decided by a Robert Pires goal. That, of course, was played at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff, first ever FA Cup final with the roof closed as well because of the bad weather that day. Here's Kai Havertz, left-footed shot, deflection, and Peretz was scrambling. He didn't need to worry in the end because the ball just went past his right post and behind for a corner, but Peretz would not have known the final location of that deflected Havertz effort.
One of those ones that you see so often once they take the deflection, going past and beyond the goalkeeper. But from Southampton's perspective, it's a relief for them, but it's another corner for Arsenal. You've got to say that the Arsenal front line are looking lively. Martinelli, Jesus, Dalman, they all look dangerous. Ødegaard's pulling the strings in midfield. They're just starting to get into their groove a little bit, Arsenal, you've got to say.
Corner from the left, Martinelli with the gloves on, 0-0. Another one that isn't directly going into Southampton's penalty area, so this is very much a ploy from Arsenal today. Ødegaard, Lewis Skelly to Havertz, Havertz to the byline, lifted up towards the far post, a little too heavy for Dalman, who actually put his arms in the back of Bragg, and it's a free kick to Southampton, 0-0. Franny Bernali.
That'd be a frustration from the technical area for Arsenal, just giving away those little soft fouls when you're in good attacking positions, when sometimes you don't need to give away those needless fouls. But again, Perez being called into action on more occasions than I'm sure anyone from a Southampton perspective would like, but they're standing strong, still very much in this game. They've had chances of their own already. And what is making so far this evening to be a very exciting and entertaining FA Cup quarter-final.
Yeah, with a bit more wind whipping around the commentary position than one would like for their notes tonight as well.
I've got my phone and a bottle of water trying to hold my notes down.
Saints with a rare chance to attack Arsenal. Finnessas trying to cut back, and then the ball back to Kepa. It was a bit short for the Arsenal goalkeeper, and he was under some pressure there from Ross Stewart, who is, as I mentioned, rather quick. Nearly got to Kepa there.
He did, yeah. It's one of those ones he was entitled, I think, to go for the challenge, for the little back pass.
Kepa had to put it out of play, didn't he, for a Southampton throw?
Yeah, it certainly wasn't a comfortable situation for Kepa there. But Southampton could do with really almost having a possession where they keep the ball themselves. They're doing it at the moment pretty deep in their own half, but you know, they just can't be defending constantly, because then you feel like there'd just be one opportunity that Arsenal will create that they'll capitalise on, so they've got to offer a little bit more going forward.
Real hunger from Ben White to win it in Southampton's half, drives on into the box, can't find the pass as spins out to try and quickly get it upfield towards Stewart. It's over the head of Gabriel, but Ross Stewart can't quite take it in his stride, so he's going to have to hold it up. 0-0 Southampton Arsenal FA Cup quarter-final. Cienza beats his man on the left, crosses in looking for Fellows at the back post, forced out of it by Lewis Skelly, coming back into the Arsenal penalty area. Tom Fellows, he's still got the ball, he's kept Martinelli away from it, and then his cross in towards the edge of the 6-yard box is nodded down by Gabriel and away by Arsenal.
Yeah, good period of play from Southampton. And Cameron Bagg's just done brilliantly well to recover back. He takes a great little touch away from Kai Havertz, and Havertz fouls him in the process. But again, Southampton just need to take this little opportunity maybe to just slow the tempo of the game down, take a moment. But good play from the youngster, stepping in for Flynn Downs this evening.
Do you think this 8 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday night is lending towards this tremendous atmosphere?
Yeah, for sure. Any game under lights, Chris, is brilliant, isn't it? Especially the FA Cup tie, a game like tonight. Two teams in great form this season so far. It all adds up to the magic of what this competition's all about, and especially when both teams have really said about it like they have done.
Southampton is 7th in the Championship. Arsenal at the top of the Premier League. Still in 3 separate competitions, Arsenal. The FA Cup being one of them. As Ødegaard trying to weave his way past Yanda, then looked to lay it off, almost a no-look layoff to Dalman, but maybe he should have looked, because Cienza nips in, takes it away from him, the Brazilian, runs across the pitch from left to right, and he's left it for Bree. Bree drives on. We know he's scored spectacular goals, James Bree. Clips it up into the box. It's come for Stewart! And Southampton lead! Ross Stewart drives it into the corner! It's a great finish from Ross Stewart, and St Mary's comes alive to that moment. Arsenal are behind here against Championship side Southampton, and Ross Stewart, who got the goal in the 5th round against Fulham, has arguably got an even bigger one tonight. He's scored against Arsenal. Southampton 1, Arsenal 0.
What scenes here at St Mary's? The roof has literally just gone off the stadium. The camera's panned on Tonder Eckhart. He's stone-faced, there's no emotion whatsoever. But it's Leo Cienza initially driving across the middle of the pitch. He works the ball out to James Bree initially, and then Southampton have got a little bit of a 5v4. Arsenal is recovering back. Oh, and Stewart, he does so well to finish. Just sort of missed there who it was that missed the ball to fight.
Ben White.
It's White. He gets his position all wrong, Ben White. He completely misses his challenge in the air. Ross Stewart takes one touch, it bounces up, and he volleys it past Kepa. This has really brought this game to life now. Be interesting to see how Arsenal do approach the rest of the game. Are they just going to keep as they have been, or are they just going to be a little bit wounded by what we've just experienced?
Got the nickname the Loch Ness Drogba, Ross Stewart, from his time with Sunderland. That was Drogba-esque, wasn't it? And Arsenal saw a fair bit of him over the years during his time with Chelsea. And this is a bubbling scoreline of interest. Southampton leading Arsenal 1-0 in the FA Cup quarter-final.
And you've got to be honest, Chris, as well. I think, you know, for this tie really to ignite, I think clearly you would have had to have said Southampton needed to take the lead. They have done. Now let's see how they can go on and manage this game. It's a brilliant position to be in for them, but there's still a lot of football to play in this game, so they certainly can't take their foot off the gas.
And that famous Southampton chant, when the Saints go marching in, rippling around St Mary's Stadium, as it would have done in that 1976 FA Cup final when Bobby Stokes scored that famous goal against Manchester United. This is an underdog story tonight, and Southampton have got themselves a free kick here as well, high up inside Arsenal's half on the left. The foul by Ben White, the push on Cienza.
And it just highlights, doesn't it? You know, we were talking about pre-match the mistake in the League Cup final that Kepa made, and you know, you've got to say that Ben White's made an error in his judgment and how his timing of his jump for his header. He's completely missed the ball, he gets it all wrong, but it gave the opportunity to Ross Stewart as if to say, okay, what can you do now? And he just delivered exactly what was needed in that precise moment. Good first touch, and his finish was, you know, good enough to see it into the back of the net.
And suddenly a test for Arsenal. The Southampton free kick in towards that near post, headed away. And it goes clear without danger, really, from an Arsenal perspective. Back into Southampton possession with Yandu's clipped it in. Stewart, it was just a bit too high for Would Bellis in the end, who had stayed up there from that initial free kick, the former Manchester City defender. 1-0 Southampton lead against Arsenal. You're listening to 5 Live and BBC Sounds, and this is the former Southampton defender, Franny Benali.
Yeah, Taylor Harwood-Bellis as well is a threat from set pieces as well. He scored a few goals as well, but that would certainly be a favourite. I'm pleased for Ross Stewart in a way, because he's had a lot of injury issues, hasn't he, and not played a huge amount of football since he's moved to Southampton, but that's probably got to be the biggest and most important goal that he's scored so far in his Saints career.
Ødegaard with the foul on the halfway line, right-hand side, Southampton free kick. Just looking around towards assistant referee Martin Ødegaard to see if anybody's going to give him any pity. It's just a small arm in the back of Yander.
Yeah, a little bit hard done by being the judge to have made the foul there. There wasn't much in it whatsoever, doesn't it? But you need those kind of decisions to go your way.
Kepa out of his penalty area, long way out of his penalty area, and he's kicked the ball up into the air, not with great distance, and then Havertz has given it away, and it's come to Azaz. Azaz has tried to chip Kepa Arrizabalaga, who is back inside his 6-yard box, and he wasn't troubled by it.
If he managed to get his shot away a second or two earlier, there could have been a different outcome, because Kepa was out of his area, coming for that initial kick, wasn't it? But the game is just so open and lively, both sides, the turnover of possession. But what an atmosphere this is, what a cup tie.
Mikel Arteta, arms folded, down towards our right-hand side, our commentary position high up in the itching stand, so we're pretty much directly behind the two dugouts. As Arteta watches on as a long ball comes forward, Fellows isn't going to reach it. Kepa in the purple Arsenal goalkeeping jersey with different shades of purple on it, claims, bowls it out towards Havertz. Havertz is too heavy with his pass forward to Martinelli, and it's now with the goalkeeper at the other end, Daniel Peretz.
Yep, Southampton just got to manage this. There's the excitement of scoring a goal, but so often we see sides sort of just lose that bit of concentration or make that error or mistake, and sort of all of a sudden they're conceding the goal themselves. So crucial period for this Southampton side at the moment to manage that. Ross Stewart, the goal scorer, giving a big thumbs up to Daniel Peretz, his goalkeeper, as if to say, don't mind that, go long, don't go direct.
Scored against Arsenal in the Premier League last season as well. Here, Ross Stewart, final day of the campaign. Saints already relegated. First ever goal that day that he'd scored for Saints. This is a more significant one against the Gunners tonight. 1-0 Southampton of the Championship are ahead against Arsenal, top of the Premier League mountain right now. But remember, playing for the first time tonight since that League Cup final defeat against Manchester City. It was always going to be a test of character for Arsenal tonight, and they've got some work to do as Fellows, high up on the right for Southampton, coming in field on his left foot, tries to drive it in towards Azaz. It came back to Fellows again. The bounce wasn't quite kind enough though for the Saints winger, but Arsenal at 6s and 7s trying to clear this away, and they haven't managed to clear it away, and then Fellows has gone over in the box, and he doesn't appeal for a penalty, and really it was only stifled appeals from the Southampton crowd as well. Yeah,
tenacious play from Tom Fellows and Finn Azaz in and around that 18-yard box, but it's Arsenal breaking away, sweeping down the right-hand side.
And the ball comes out to Ben White, 15 yards inside Southampton's half. He pushes it on for Dowman, who's carried it a further 10 towards the periphery of Southampton's penalty area. Now Ødegaard, one of the 7 Arsenal changes from that defeat to Manchester City in the League Cup just under 2 weeks ago. Final 3 minutes of the half, or at least at the 45 of this fascinating FA Cup quarter-final game. Manchester City and Chelsea already through, as you've been hearing throughout the day here on 5 Live. And right now, it's Southampton's name who's going to be joining them in that draw tomorrow night. But there's a long way to go, and here's Dowman, right side of Saints' box, didn't get the cross right, and Wood can clear it away, but there's nobody within even 10 yards of the halfway line for Southampton. That's how deep they are right now.
Yeah, they're pretty deep, and understandably, I guess, creeping towards half-time.
White moving forward again on the right to get the ball. His cross takes a deflection. Peretz is going to come out and make it his. Decisive goalkeeping from the Israeli, Daniel Peretz.
He's done it brilliantly tonight already, but he's done that since he's been here, Chris. He relieves that danger from his defenders by coming out and claiming balls like that.
Look at Kepa. Kepa a little irritated there with his Arsenal backline. He felt that pass back to him was not of the required standard, didn't have enough length on it, and he's cleared it out of play for a Southampton throw on the halfway line on the right.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. He's got a good point. You know, he clearly doesn't. It makes him look bad in a way, and especially on the back of him being a talking point from the cup final. But this is an experienced Arsenal side. You know, they'll know there's a lot of football left in this match still, but you know, they certainly don't want to be going and conceding a second one, because that would then really give a huge lift to Southampton. But they know they're still very much in the game. They've just got to be patient, not really chase and force things too much.
The Southampton team who are 14 games unbeaten in all competitions, as the ball comes from right to left, high up inside Southampton's half, and Martinelli coming infield on his right foot on the angle of the Southampton penalty area. Here's Havertz as a strong gust again blows across the St Mary's pitch. In the last 60 seconds of the 45 of this first half, Southampton 1, Arsenal 0. And Gabriel, with nowhere to go, goes back towards Kepa, who is marshalling an area halfway inside his own half right now, the Arsenal goalkeeper, into the feet of Christian Norgard. Came on after an hour for Denmark in that disappointing playoff final defeat against the Czech Republic. It's a much better night for one of his teammates, though, in the playoff final, Victor Gyökeres, who got that winner for Sweden to send them through against Poland. Here's Mosquera, the Arsenal number 3. Final few seconds of the 45. 1-0 to Southampton. If you are just joining us here on 5 Live tonight, how many minutes to be added on? Just the 1 at St Mary's, which has been the number of the first half from a Saints perspective, as Martinelli will have one last go at this Southampton backline before the break. Left side of the penalty area, Ødegaard collects it, swings it in towards the far post, only half cleared away as far as Lewis Skelly, who's careered the ball towards Dowman, who's now occupying a position on the right side of Southampton's penalty area, just inside the box up against Manning, cuts it back. The low shot was from Norgard, it's right at Perez, and Southampton might now have the time to get themselves over the line for a half-time lead against Arsenal.
Yeah, you'd have to say, oh, mind you, Perez has kicked the ball pretty early on.
And Stewart, grappling with the 2 Arsenal defenders, couldn't get away from Mosquera, let alone interrupt Gabriel, heading it back to Kepa.
I thought they were just going to take things a little bit easier and run the clock down if they could, but with only that 1 minute, you'd like to think that Southampton would see this out.
Last few seconds, Havertz. Jesus can't hang on to it. And there's the half-time whistle. Listen to St Mary's. They've rarely had 45 minutes of football like this in recent years. Ross Stewart with the goal, and Southampton of the Championship 1-0 up against the Premier League leaders Arsenal. Franny Benali.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? It's setting up this second half to be a brilliant one as well. We were saying even before the goal came along, Chris, that this match was brilliant from both sides. And if this was an actual game plan from Tonder Eckhart to really go at Arsenal, then it was a brilliant one, because they've looked dangerous when they've gone forward. They could have scored before Ross Stewart finished like he did. But you have to say Arsenal were looking dangerous as well. You know, they've had a number of corners, a number of shots in on goal, but Daniel Peretz has stood firm and dealt with everything that's come his way in these 45 minutes. But yeah, what a first 45 minutes of football we've got, and with Southampton scoring first as well, that really makes this an exciting remainder of the game that we're going to be in for.
So the 1 goal scored by the lanky Scotsman, Ross Stewart, right-footed shot, too hard, too powerful, too direct for Kepa Arrizabalaga to keep out. That was in the 35th minute. And Arsenal, who had such a rotten second half against Manchester City 2 weeks ago at Wembley, need a very good second half here to rescue this situation in this cup competition. Half-time in the FA Cup quarter-final at St Mary's. Southampton 1, Arsenal 0.
Tell you what, for a neutral, that was an absolute cracking first 45 minutes of FA Cup football. So for a Southampton fan, Franny Benali, you must have loved that. I mean, Southampton just absolutely going for it in the first half. And as Chris is saying there, more questions for Arsenal to answer now.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Maybe a good job that there wasn't a camera on me when the goal went in there. That was sat between the 2 Chris's. You know, they could see my delight and joy amongst the thousands of other Southampton supporters here in the stadium. But, you know, these kind of ties, you know, when you're the underdog, shall we say, in all honesty, regardless of the 14-match unbeaten run they're on, they're still the underdogs coming up against someone like Arsenal tonight. So scoring first just really ignites this tie now into a magical cup tie. And, you know, as we've said before, magical things happen in this competition, but going to be interesting now how both managers go about their team talks and what they say, and maybe how they do tweak things, if at all, in these early stages of the second half.
Theo Walcott said in the build-up on our BBC TV coverage, and by the way, you can watch this match on BBC One as well, the Arsenal players are fatigued, and he's pointing obviously in particular to Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice not being involved today. But, you know, is tiredness a factor at all at this point of the season, but also the frenetic pace that this match is being played at?
I think I don't see it really as being as an excuse. I mean, when you're a club like Arsenal and others, you know you want to be competing in all competitions and being as successful as you can, and you know that means playing an awful lot of football. You know, that is the challenge for the clubs and the players and the managers that are at those kind of clubs, fighting on all fronts. So tiredness is going to be a thing. Busy schedules are going to be a big thing. So that's why they have what you would possibly call the best players, the biggest squads, and that's why they need them, because they're competing on all fronts, and they've got to manage that somehow. So, you know, I think if this, let's just assume that this tie stays as it does, the lineup and the team selection Arteta will come under the spotlight and be scrutinised over that if they weren't to progress through with the lineup he started tonight, by leaving some of the names out that he has done, whether that's through injury or tiredness or whatever. So that is what the nature of it is.
That's one thing you could say. I think whether they're tired or not is up for debate. What you can't debate is that Arsenal have been sloppy tonight.
Yeah.
They've been really poor in moments of this game. Passes that have gone astray, balls into players' feet where players have then taken their eye off the ball, and then ultimately an error that has led to that Southampton goal with Ben White's positioning not being correct, allowing Ross Stewart to get beyond him and score the goal. So I really think Mikel Arteta will be drumming into his players at half-time the importance of focus in the second half, because this has not been typical Arsenal so far.
Well, as you say in the cup final, Chris, earlier, and what we saw in that, you know, there was that very different second half performance. What are we going to get here at St Mary's now tonight from Arsenal? It's going to be fascinating to see how they do come out and react.
Yeah, it really will. Guys, thanks for the time being. Franny Benali, Chris Wise, so 7th in the Championship, leading top in the Premier League at the moment at St Mary's. Second half commentary to come shortly. We're going to hear as well from Liam Rosenior, and we'll be at the O2 ahead of Derek Chisora against Deontay Wilder. First, though, here's Joe Critcher.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
President Trump has threatened to rain down hell on Iran if they don't make a deal or reopen the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours. It comes as US troops continue to search for a missing air crew member whose fighter jet was shot down over Iran yesterday. Iranian officials are offering a reward to anyone who captures him alive. John Peters is a former RAF pilot who was taken hostage by Iraqi forces in the first Gulf War.
Both sides will be playing this very close to their chest. It would be interesting as to whether the Iranians will admit they've caught the person. Same for the Americans. Then no one is going to reveal their hands. We are getting down to small areas of land and limited time period, and the political ramifications at the big scale are huge.
5 Met police officers have been removed from frontline duties after a bag containing guns and ammunition was left on a street. It was discovered by a member of the public close to the Mayor of London's house. The Met Office says Storm Dave will continue to deepen tonight. There's an amber warning for strong winds in place across northern England, northwest Wales and southern Scotland. Heavy rain and snow will move northeastwards into Easter Sunday and could bring flying debris, travel disruption and power cuts. And NASA has shared the first high-resolution images of the Earth taken by the Artemis 2 crew as they pass the halfway point between the Earth and the Moon. The spacecraft is on a looping path that will carry the crew around the far side of the Moon and back again. Mission specialist Jeremy Hansen says the crew has seen amazing things.
We were out there at 60,000 kilometres. We came back to within 200 kilometres of the planet. and it just felt like we were falling out of the sky back to earth. And I said to Reed, it feels like we're going to hit it. It's amazing that we're actually going to go around and miss this thing. It was just so close, and so to take all of that in was really phenomenal.
Space mission specialist Jeremy Hansen speaking there.
The stories we tell
About the people we know.
and the places we love.
Are not just made here.
They're stories made of here.
If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Glasgow.
So where are you from then?
The Glenns of Antrim.
Lovely part of the world.
Can you just move to Barry? It's well, Lash.
Hello, love. Welcome to Birmingham.
You'll always be my home. Made of Belfast.
Liverpool, Cornwall, Glasgow,
Newcastle.
Cardiff.
Made of here.
Because this is our BBC. This is 5 Live Sports.
The FA Cup.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Southampton won, Arsenal 0 at half-time in the FA Cup quarter-final at St Mary's. We'll be back there shortly. We've also brought you Rugby Union Champions Cup commentary today. It's the round of 16 in both the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup. In the Champions Cup earlier, wins for Bath, Toulon, Glasgow and Toulouse. In the final tie of the day, it's Harlequins 0, Sale 16 at half-time at the Stoop. In the Challenge Cup, there were wins for Exeter, Montpellier and Benetton. They've all progressed to the final 8 in the 2 matches that are ongoing. These are both half-time scores. Newcastle 8, at La Rochelle 15. It's Ulster 14, Ospreys 17. 2 sides have already booked their place in the semi-finals of the Men's FA Cup. Firstly, today, Manchester City. They beat Liverpool 4-0 in the early kick-off at the Etihad. Erling Haaland scored a hat-trick. He spoke to our correspondent John Murray after the match.
Erling, did you manage to get the match ball from Michael Oliver?
Yeah, I got it in the end, so now I just had it signed by all the players, so I got it in the end.
What can you say about Ryan Shirky, who seems to have stepped up a level?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan is amazing, and it's about getting this quality and creativity out as high on the pitch and closest to their goal as possible, because that's where I want him and that's where the team wants him to give us assists and all these kind of things. Look at the perfect ball he gives to Antoine today. Is perfect, and that's what we need from him. That's what I need from him, and I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah, he does things not many others do, doesn't he?
He's special. He really is.
Yeah, and for you, the determination in these final weeks of the season. You've already won 1 cup. There seems to be a real hunger to win at least another one.
Yeah, I mean, we have to keep going. As I said, game by game. Focus on what we can do something with. There's still a lot to play for. So, yeah, I mean, this time of the season is always special and it's always nice. So, let's see.
Chelsea also booked their place in the semi-finals at Wembley. They beat Port Vale 7-0. Here's the Chelsea boss, Liam Rossini, with Kelly Cates.
Liam, 3 months into your time at Chelsea, you're taking them to Wembley in an FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah, it's great. That's why you come to this club. You want to win trophies, you want to be in big games, and I was really happy with the players' application. Their attitude was top in the game, and we scored 7 goals, but that comes from a real energy and intensity about us, which I enjoyed, and we need to keep that going.
It was such a strong selection, the starting 11 for this game. So how pleased were you with the performance that they put in?
Yeah, I think it's not just the in possession. Cole made him captain. If you watch the game, he's tracking back. João Pedro sprinting across the pitch. Pedro Neto's tracking back into his box. They were all the things that you have to go back to after you have a difficult run of form. And I was delighted with the application of every player that set foot on the pitch, really. And yeah, now we're in the semi-final. We have a big game next week against City.
Just one last one before we let you go. It's been noisy at Chelsea in your time in charge and even beforehand. This week particularly so, with remarks made by players that you've dealt with and you've spoken about before the game. So how welcome was this win today to come back and start playing football, talking about football and winning matches?
Football is about football. Football is about on the pitch. So this is a huge football club with a lot of scrutiny, a lot of people writing a lot of things. But I thought the players in terms of application showed what we're about today. We had a really difficult 10 days, but the way we've come through that, I think as a group we've spoken a lot about what we can do, and it's a really good first step for the running.
Tomorrow the lineup for the Men's FA Cup semi-finals will be complete as West Ham face Leeds United. 5 Live Sport is on air from 12 tomorrow. We'll have commentary of West Ham against Leeds. At 1 we'll have commentary of the Women's FA Cup quarter-final between Arsenal and Brighton. Nader Manua and Ellen White will be alongside Steve Crossman for build-up, followed by then commentary of West Ham against Leeds from 4:30. It's a huge weekend of boxing, as we are saying this evening here on 5 Live. We'll bring you the heavyweight clash between Derek Chisora and Deontay Wilder from 10 o'clock. At the O2 Arena for us is Jonathan Overend. And Jonathan, set the scene for us, because I imagine the atmosphere, if it's anything like Chisora turning up for media this week in a tank, it's bubbling up very nicely.
Yes, excitement mounting, Maz, just over an hour or so away. One more undercard fight to come before them. The biggest news, and you talk about Chisora arrivals, well, he's arrived here at the O2 tonight on the tube. Yes, via the Jubilee line, Derek Chisora comes for his fight with Deontay Wilder, who for a long time, Maz, was probably the most feared boxer on the planet in his prime years as WBC heavyweight champion of the world. No doubt that he's been in decline. He's lost 4 of his last 6, but he says he's mentally healed, and he says he's back, and he doesn't want to be the old Deontay Wilder. He wants to be the new Deontay Wilder. So in terms of the potential outcome tonight, I think therein lies the real key. Are they just words from Deontay Wilder, or is that the truth? If so, it could be a tough night for Chisora.
Because the thing is, his recent record is nowhere near what he was in his pomp, as you say there, Jonathan. He's lost 4 of his last 6. Chisora is well saying this is his last fight, but do we believe him either with that?
No. I mean, just imagine if Chisora knocks out Wilder in the first round, one of the greats, as we see an excellent victory in the ring in front of me here for the British middleweight, Denzel Bentley. That's a fine win for Bentley. But no, Chisora, what's marked Chisora out in his career is the fact that he's never shirked a challenge. He's been in there with the very best consistently. Usyk, Fury, Klitschko, Parker, Hay, White, Pulev, you know, there's hardly a fighter Chisora hasn't fought. And tonight he takes on Deontay Wilder, who was a WBC world champion for 5 years. So what a way to go for Chisora, who does start the favourite in many people's eyes because of his late career renaissance by winning his last few fights. But, as I say, we know that Wilder can end a fight with just one punch, and probably still has the capability to do so.
We will see. Jonathan, thank you. You can listen to Jonathan Overend and the team from the O2. The undercard fights, as you can hear, they're live right now on Sports Extra and over on BBC Two. You can watch Lauren Price as she looks to defend her world titles against Stephanie Pinheiro. And tomorrow night here on 5 Live, we'll have coverage from 8 as an all-British lightweight world unification bout between Caroline Dubois and Terry Harper. The players are back out on the pitch at St Mary's. Just seen an Arsenal huddle disband. I'm sure there's a big team talk from Mikel Arteta for his side at half-time. We'll return to our commentary team. Franny Benali is alongside Chris Wise.
Thank you, Maz. They are 1-0 down here, Arsenal against Championship side Southampton. The last time Arsenal suffered an FA Cup quarter-final defeat was in 2016 when they were beaten by Watford. But right now it is a team from the tier below them, the Championship, Southampton, under the guidance of their young German coach, very young 33-year-old Tonda Eckhart, with his big Southampton blue puffer jacket on, stood on the edge of his technical area, hands in pockets. We're underway in the second half. He looks calm. I don't imagine, Franny Benali, there will be too many calm Southampton supporters all around this packed St Mary's Stadium.
No, and I'm sure what we're seeing on Tender's exterior is maybe not the case of what's going on inside, but you've got to say from Southampton's perspective, it's gone brilliantly for them so far. They've had to weather a few attacks from Arsenal, clearly. Peretz has made a number of saves, but the all-important stat that we've got from Ross Stewart's goal in the first half is that Southampton are leading this tie, and if it's anything like the first half, we should be in for a brilliant second half of football.
Yeah, it really was an absorbing first 45 minutes. Ross Stewart with the goal after 35. No changes from either team at half-time, so with Arsenal in possession inside their own half, I can bring you the team. Peretz in goal for Southampton. Bree, Harwood, Bellis, Wood and Manning in their defence. Bragg and Yander in midfield. No Flynn Downs tonight for Southampton, he's suspended. Fellows, Azaz, Cienza behind Stewart. And Arsenal have got Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal, White, Mosquera, Gabriel and Lewis Skelly, Ødegaard, Norgard, Havertz, and then Martinelli and Dauman left and right-hand side, either side of Gabriel Jesus, and the likes of Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka, Leandro Trossard, Ibera Eza, Jurriën Timber, Piero Nkapie, they're all missing for Arsenal tonight. None of those are in this Gunners squad, so it is not like Mikel Arteta has his usual complete rich array of experienced talent on his bench this evening.
Yeah, a number of those names that you mentioned, key players for Arsenal in any game, but none more so than what they might need this evening now, being one down to Southampton. It's going to be fascinating to see how both sides do approach this second half now. The Saints still maintain that front foot, really taking the game to Arsenal, or are they just going to sit on this lead a little bit, try and be a bit more happier, letting Arsenal have more of the ball, but could that go against them? And how much are Arsenal going to be affected by that goal that Ross Stewart scored in the first half?
3 minutes into the second half, Southampton 1, Arsenal 0. Here's Cienza pulled over by Ben White, not having a very good night. Ben White, giving away the free kick there. He was very much caught out, wasn't he, for the one goal that we have had tonight from Stewart?
Yeah, it was an error, you've got to say, by Ben White. His positioning just got caught under the ball, which enabled Ross Stewart to take a touch and then fire past Kepa. And he's just got caught out there, having a little tug back on Leo Cienza as he got turned. Good little touch from Cienza, though. That's what he's all about. He's got a great ability to drive in pitch, good skill, good first touch.
He's missed the last 3 games, the Brazilian, back in the Southampton team tonight. They are going from right to left, Saints, in this second half, so they're shooting towards the chapel stand. Free kick sent forward by the left boot of Manning. Has come out of the penalty area to the left-hand side for Cienza, who's going to let that ball run out of play for a throw, and then he's taken it quickly looking for Manning, who'd made a bursting run to try and be part of that Southampton attack. Arsenal have taken it away from him, and Dauman just trying to play his way out. Lovely feet by Max Dauman. I tell you what, I know there's so much talk about him, but the confidence, Franny, at 16 to hang on to the ball when you're facing your own goal inside your box like that and just glide out of the tackle.
Yeah, amazing to see, isn't it? Like you say, it just looks like an experienced older player in a young player's body almost, didn't it? You know, the composure he showed on the ball there in his own box was wonderful to see.
And from that, Arsenal work the ball up to the left-hand side, and Miles Lewis Skelly is tripped by the retreating Tom Fellows. So Arsenal have a free kick, which is just over 10 yards, I would say, outside the Southampton penalty area. And that's been confirmed by the wall that has just been put in place, the one-man wall by referee Sam Barrett, who's marched out the 10 yards. So from the left-hand side, this Arsenal free kick is located. Gabriel and Mosquera, the 2 centre-halves up there. Kai Havertz is at the very back, so is Jesus, but they're moving towards the front. In it comes, and the flick on, which is claimed by Peretz after the touch from Jesus.
Yeah, nothing really troubling Daniel Peretz there. Southampton defenders retreating. It was that loopy flicked header from Jesus. No Arsenal players following in on that, so it was quite a comfortable take for Peretz.
And if you weren't, sorry, Branny, I was going to say, if you weren't with us in the first half, it is probably worth noting that Southampton, despite being at home tonight, are wearing the yellow shirts this evening with the blue shorts and the yellow socks, and Arsenal are in their home strip. And the reason for that is that it is 50 years this year since Southampton won the FA Cup for the only time in their history, and they were in the yellow playing against the famous red of Manchester United, and back then Southampton were a second division team. Manchester United were in the top tier, so with the scoreline 1-0 here tonight as well, there are some similar shades, if you'll excuse the colour pun.
A lot of similarities in there, but this commemorative kit that we're wearing for the 50th anniversary has got the players' signatures from that special day 50 years ago, sort of etched into the design. So yeah, it's a little nod to what they achieved back there, and with the way the game's gone so far, and that pass from Gabriel going straight out of play, as each minute ticks on, I'm sure it'll get every single Saints fan thinking, is there something in the competition this year, us progressing through to the semi-finals, wearing the yellow and blue that we wore 50 years ago to beat Manchester United. Let's see how it plays out.
It was hoiked out of play, wasn't it, by Gabriel? The Southampton throw, 249th Arsenal appearance for him this evening. And Lewis Skelly from the middle of the park drives forward with the ball for Arsenal. Gabriel Jesus turning one way, then the other, the diminutive Brazilian, and then leaving it on that left wing for Martinelli to see if he can find a way through. Martinelli drops the shoulder, races towards the byline, left-footed cross over the head of Ødegaard, hit by Dauman, deflected up and over the crossbar. I think that was Manning who lunged himself at Dauman there to send it away for an Arsenal corner. 1-0 Southampton lead.
Not for the first time this evening. Arsenal having possession, ball into the box, and Manning getting a good block in, as you mentioned, from Dauman. It was a low strike, one of those ones that could have gone anywhere off Ryan Manning, but it fired over the crossbar. I have to admit, Chris, I've lost count on the amount of corners Arsenal have had in this game so far this evening.
Had a multitude, didn't they, in the first half, and here comes one in the second from Gabriel Martinelli over towards our right-hand side. The referee's wanting a reposition of the ball before the Brazilian can take this.
I think it's fair to say it's the supporters in that corner of the stadium that are drawing attention to the referee, which has made him go all the way over and make him adjust the ball in the quadrant.
Yeah, and I think everybody's happy now, maybe not the Southampton fans, but the people that matter are happy, as Martinelli with his right foot sent it in towards that near post. Gabriel jumped for it, Peretz punches it away, back out to the left for Martinelli. Arsenal 1-0 down here against Southampton. Martinelli again just trying to weave his way past. He's got past Fellows, but he can't find the pass. Tried to drive it in towards that Southampton 6-yard box, and Saints then give the ball away. That was rather sloppy, and they invite the pressure back onto themselves again. Lewis Skelly. Oh, he's overplayed the pass now out to the right-hand side. And Mikel Arteta's the one who's gone to get the ball. It's an intended pass for Dauman, but it was closer to his coach than it was to picking out somebody on the pitch.
Yeah, it was a very strange pass from Skelly, wasn't it, to go out like it did. But I was just about to say before it went to Skelly, you know, Southampton need to do a little bit better when they win the ball in those positions. They can't give it away. After defending so long, when they do win the ball back, they've got to look after it that bit better, not lose possession so early.
This is Finazaz. Cienza with the number 13 on his back. He's got the gloves on tonight as well, with the light blonde hair. He's short for Yanda, and then Manning goes all the way back to the halfway line for the broad shoulders of Nathan Wood, one of the two Southampton centre-halves who was actually linked with a move to Arsenal before his switch to Saints. It was back in 2024. Here he is again, Wood with the shaved head. Back to Harwood Bellis, who's really come into his own in recent weeks for Southampton, obviously with an England cap under his belt as well. Tyler Harwood Bellis.
That's right, and Cameron Bragg almost overhitting that pass to Cienza, and they've forfeited possession to Arsenal, but not for the first time. Saints have won it straight back.
Cienza trying to push it through. Out comes Kepa, edge of his penalty area, gets there before Fellows, launches it upfield. Gabriel Jesus is going after that, and it's going to run from one goalkeeper through to the other. Peretz down the other end. Already 10 minutes into the second half of this FA Cup quarter-final. Manchester City 4-0 winners over Liverpool. Chelsea put even more on their tally against Port Vale. Heard that game live on 5 Live earlier with John Akins and Pat Nevin at Stamford Bridge. Great day out nonetheless for Port Vale of League One. And at the moment, the EFL team ruling the roost in this final 8 game.
And as you speak, Chris, we're just seeing that conversation clearly between Mikel Arteta and his staff. There's been 3 substitutes that have come out to start warming up, clearly starting to think of changes and what they can do maybe to help the players on the pitch with a change or two, because they need to get back into this game. And with every minute that ticks by, Saints are growing confidence, the supporters will get behind them.
And Yanda shoulder to shoulder takes it off Miles Skelly on the the halfway line. Miles Lewis-Skelly, Southampton break, cross into the box on the right-hand side from Fellows. Hits Gabriel, goes behind for a Southampton corner, who have a set piece as their reward for that sharp piece of counter-attacking football.
I don't want to speak too early, Chris, but you get a real sense within the stadium with the atmosphere in here, don't you, that this is potentially a very special evening, and with what we've seen so far tonight, it's been a great cup tie, hasn't it? But something tells me there's still a lot of unfolding to be going until we know who goes through to join those teams that have gone through already. The draw's tomorrow, isn't it? For the semi-finals.
That's after the West Ham Leeds game, which we'll have live for you on 5 Live from 4:30. Women's FA Cup football tomorrow as well. Arsenal against Brighton from 1. Southampton corner. Cienza, when the Saints go marching in, rolling around the stadium, in comes the cross, a deflection on it. It actually bounced waywardly of everybody inside the penalty area and out for a Southampton throw, I think off the head of Gabriel as it came through. So Saints will have a throw from the left here, 1-0 up against Arsenal, and they are still high up inside the Gunners' half.
Yeah, very much a crucial touch it was as well, just to fire across the box and go out for a corner to Saints, as we see a number of those substitutions about to start taking place.
Yes, we'll come to that in a moment, Franny, because Saints have moved that throw quickly. Manning in towards the near post, and it's headed behind by Mosquera. He had Ross Stewart on his shoulder inside the 6-yard box, and Mosquera, I don't really know how he's managed to do that considering the angle of his body, but he's just about negotiated that ball behind for a corner.
Yeah, and he managed to just keep in front of Ross Stewart and able to get to the ball first, to put it away for another corner, which Ryan Manham will whip in left-footed.
Made his Spain debut during the most recent international break. Christian Mosquera, 7 minutes against Serbia and the full 90 against Egypt, so congratulations to him. He's only 21 years old as well, so that's a tremendous accolade to be playing for a country of Spain's standing at that point in your career. But his immediate focus is on this Southampton corner, which Manning with his left foot sends in. Martinelli won the header to clear it away for Arsenal. Forward again by Yander, it's over everybody and through to Kepa. And Kepa bowls it out towards Ødegaard, who did well to look after that ball because it was an awkward angle for him, halfway inside his own half. And he moves it upfield to Havertz. That Havertz is forced backwards by this Saints team, who are continuing to work hard, and Cameron Bragg, the 21-year-old Franny Benali in the Southampton midfield, who managed to stop the potential move there involving Kai Havertz, is having a very good game. He's been with the club since he's 8 years old.
Yeah, so pleased for him. Probably in reality wouldn't have started tonight had Flynn Downs been available.
Oh, that's poor from Mosquera. He's given it away. Southampton have got another chance. Ross Stewart over the top of the crossbar. Only a couple of inches away. He and Fellows had an opportunity there to really capitalise upon a dreadful Arsenal error from Christian Mosquera, and it was Fellows who could not capitalise upon the moment.
Oh, what a chance that was. An error from Arsenal. They give the ball away, and it's a great opportunity to at least make Kepa work. In fact, I think he gets a touch on it. Kepa actually makes the save. Got to give a little bit of credit to the Arsenal goalkeeper. I thought it was a shot that fired over the bar, and we're seeing a number of those changes now taking place by Arsenal. 3 of them by the looks of it.
Yep, so let me run through them for you. Ricardo Calafiori, Noni Madueke and Victor Gyökeres. So that is quite the trio of Arsenal changes, Franny, from Mikel Arteta.
Yep, not messing around with the changes, is he? Literally perfect on the 60-minute mark. They've got to do something, to be honest, because Saints are more than good for their 1-0 stature in this game so far.
The 3 to come off: Lewis-Skelly, Ødegaard, making his first Arsenal start today since the middle of January, and Gabriel Jesus, who looked particularly despondent as he trudged off the pitch here at St Mary's under the bright lights. Packed out stadium on the south coast of England. Cienza running down the left again for Southampton. He's been a real thorn in Arsenal's team tonight. Cienza curls it, he's hit the crossbar, and it's gone up and over. and he puts his hands to his face, the Brazilian Leo Cienza. He is just a couple of inches away from scoring a brilliant second goal for Southampton.
They need the goal. They need the second goal. Southampton, I feel, it was brilliant play from Cienza. It was curling away, but it was dipping as well, but not enough to go on the underside of the bar. It hits the top of the bar and goes away. But great brilliance from Cienza. But with Tom Fellow's opportunity that a few minutes ago, big chances which may be reflected upon depending on the outcome of this game.
And of course Cienza had that giant chance in the first half for Saints as well, Franny, when he ran through in an essential one-on-one with Kepa.
Yeah, you know, they've had the chances, as you say, Chris, but you know, maybe being a little bit sceptical. I feel that Southampton need a second in this tie.
Here's Dowman, high up in Southampton's half on the right, running down the right wing, cuts back onto his left foot. He's in the box, Dowman, he's trying to get it back on his right again. He's wriggled away, he's still going, he can't quite find the pass. It's come out to Martinelli, who sends his effort over the top of the crossbar, but the handball has been spotted anyway, so it wouldn't have counted. Southampton free kick. And look, we are seeing shots of Arsenal fans in the away end, hands on heads, worrying about this situation. Southampton 1, Arsenal 0, 63 minutes in.
Well, with every attack that goes and comes, or comes and goes, should I say, and Arsenal don't capitalise on them, there's always that little bit of doubt, I guess, that creeps into the Arsenal supporters' minds. It'll give a little belief and confidence to the Southampton players as well. The supporters of the home side are getting behind their team as well. They're playing their part, and the players on the pitch are reacting to that and the position that they're in.
And all of this being masterminded by young Tonda Ecker, who, remember, was the under-21 boss for Saints at the start of the season. There were no plans for him to become the first-team manager. He didn't even have any managerial experience before he took the job after Will Still was sacked in November. And here he is, his team, beyond the hour, leading Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. And this brilliant Arsenal team, but they've not been brilliant tonight. Southampton in possession, just inside the Arsenal half. Harwood, Bellis and Wood playing it between the two of them. Arteta to the edge of his technical area, arms outstretched, not happy about something. The Arsenal manager, as Cienza picks it up on the left-hand side, and Saints work it back in field. This is Cameron Bragg, number 48 on his back for Harwood, Bellis. And this is a period of possession for Southampton, with Arsenal on the retreat here. Finn Azaz trying to wriggle around Norgard, felt he was hauled to the ground. Norgard was on the ground when he made some sort of contact with Azaz. No free kick given, and off go Arsenal down the right side. Madueke into Southampton territory, running quickly, now in the box. He's got beyond Wood, no, he slipped, he lost his balance, and that was enough. Nathan Wood's presence just ensuring that the England international, Ronnie Madueke, had nowhere to go.
Madueke looking really dangerous as he was approaching Nathan Wood, just running out of pitch. His legs just went a little bit, but the fresh legs, one of those 3 changes from Arsenal, just trying to give them that little lift and a bit of a spark somewhere. And you mentioned about sort of Arsenal maybe not just being on it tonight. Yeah, to a degree I'd agree with that, Chris, but I think also Southampton have done really well in taking the game to Arsenal in the manner that they have done.
The Southampton team, who have conceded just 1 goal from open play in their last 9 games. And they have not conceded tonight. And Stewart, the goal scorer, just won the ball back. He's giving it to Fellows. Stewart's cross into the middle off the head of Mosquera, who got there. In fact, it was Gabriel who lunged his head at it to win it for Arsenal. And then Dowman's giving it away. Cienza gets it back for Saints. And from right to left, Southampton in the yellow shirts, the commemorative FA Cup yellow shirts that Southampton wear tonight. In 76 it was Stokes. In 2026 it's Stewart in this FA Cup quarter-final.
Nicely done, Chris. Let's hope there's another one.
I was reading, Franny, that after Bobby Stokes scored that famous goal, I'll come back to that, because that's a really poor piece of play in Southampton's backline. Dowman seizing upon it, edge of the penalty area, tries to pull it across for Gyökeres. It was behind him, and Gyökeres clearly wanted that ball from Dowman ahead of him instead. And then Cienza's pushed over by Ben White, who puts his hands to his face for giving away another free kick. Ben White And Southampton have a way out. Still leading Arsenal 1-0. I was going to say that when Bobby Stokes scored that famous goal in the 76 final, FA Cup final against Manchester United, off the back of that, I don't know if you know this story, he won a new car. Did you know this?
Yeah, but he didn't have a driving licence, did he?
He was the only player in that Southampton team who couldn't drive. I don't know what happened to the car. I don't know if you can bring us more on that story.
I'm not sure, yeah. I do remember the story about him winning a car for scoring the winning goal, but yeah, how times change, eh?
Yeah, and that's a bit of play from Bragg, actually, intercepted by Madueke. Dowman running with purpose again, good strength from Max Dowman, leaves it for Madueke, corner of the penalty area, back to Dowman in the box, tries to spin, get it onto his left foot, and it didn't drop for Gyökeres, who was patiently waiting at the back post for any scraps that might have come his way. Southampton clear, 67 on the clock, 1-0 they lead.
Yeah, we're seeing some animated staff on the Southampton technical area. It looks like they want to get some...
Gabriel into the box, here's Havertz with the pullback, and in it goes from Victor Gyökeres. Arsenal equalise, and Gyökeres off the bench with a straightforward finish, right-footed into the corner. Southampton are breached, and Gyökeres, who's had such a brilliant week, firing his country Sweden to the World Cup, has brought Arsenal, his club team, back into this FA Cup quarter-final in the 68th minute. Arsenal equalise, Southampton 1, Arsenal 1.
Well, they certainly had a few chances, didn't they? And those three substitutions have certainly made a change. They've given Arsenal that little bit of a spark and a lift. And with that goal scorer there, a simple tap-in, you've got to say it's a good through ball. The timing of the run is excellent, the cutback's good, and Gyökeres is there in the right place at the right time to put Arsenal back on level terms. You could see Southampton were trying to make some changes. They could see they needed to make a little bit of a difference. Looks like young Samadozi is looking to come on, and Carl Larin will be the two changes when Southampton can eventually do it, but was unable to do it in time for Arsenal to score their equaliser.
Victor Gyökeres, the giant Swede, has scored against the team in yellow and blue tonight. 1-1 between Southampton and Arsenal in the FA Cup quarter-final, and he'd only been on the pitch a matter of minutes, Victor Gyökeres. But ultimately, that would have been the key message from Mikel Arteta. Get on and make it happen, and he has. Gabriel to Havertz to Gyökeres, and we are all square at St Mary's, and Arsenal now, perhaps we are going to see their true colours. Noni Madueke, right wing, back 15 yards for Mosquera. Here's Gabriel into the feet of Dowman, who can't take the ball off Havertz cleanly. And Stewart collects it for Southampton. He's run and run. He and Finn Azaz tonight have been excellent, haven't they? Those two working together in the 10 and the 9 positions for Saints.
Yeah, and you've got to say that the whole Saints side have worked extremely hard, which is probably why there's going to be these couple of changes coming in. As Caspiander gives a foul away in the middle of the centre circle. And here come those changes now.
One of those two changes is the departure of the goal scorer, Ross Stewart, and everybody around us, Southampton supporters, as you probably can hear, on their feet to give Ross Stewart the rousing reception that his performance deserves tonight. So he makes way for Kyle Larin, the Canadian international, who's been off playing for his country recently in a friendly against Iceland, and also off Leo Cienza. Perhaps no surprise that he's not managing the 90 minutes tonight, given his recent return from injury. And Samuel Adozie is on for him, the former Manchester City youngster.
Yeah, Leo Cienza obviously not playing a huge amount of football in recent times. Ross Stewart maybe just managing him a little bit as well. So those changes needed for Saints. Gives an Arsenal injury gives both managers and touchlines an opportunity to refuel and just have a little bit of a discussion on the touchline. Southampton just got to keep their nerve, stay in this game now. Arsenal, you'd have to say, with the momentum of scoring just a moment ago, it would give them a huge lift as well. So we'll see what the the Southampton side are showing in the way of resilience and how they can potentially bounce back as well.
However, this potential injury for Arsenal's Gabriel looks concerning. He is sat in the centre circle, sat up. He's been tended to by one member of Arsenal's medical staff, but I've already seen William Saliba take his tracksuit top off, so I don't know whether Gabriel is going to be able to continue here.
No, it does look like they're going to make the change, doesn't it? Fourth official's got the substitution board up, and Gabriel's walking off. Not quite sure what he's actually done, but he's on his feet. He applauds the travelling fans as he's making his way off. What impact will that have on the Arsenal side?
So where's the captain's armband going? Well, for now, he's handed it over to Ben White. Gabriel. And off he comes. And Saliba, who, like Gabriel, didn't go away on international duty. Gabriel had a knee problem. Saliba, we're told, had an ankle issue, so he didn't link up with France. But a couple of shakes of the hands from Gabriel with members of Arsenal's coaching staff. He's not going down the tunnel, which I guess is a good sign from an Arsenal perspective, at least, Gabriel, that he is going to take his place in the Arsenal dugout. But Saliba is on for him, so that's 4 Arsenal changes. And we're back underway with the scoreline at 1-1 in this FA Cup quarter-final. Franny Benali.
Yeah, Arsenal have done well to get back into this tie. The game, compared to the first 45 minutes, has maybe just dipped off a level, I think, which is understandable in some ways, but Arsenal just sort of belief is in them now.
And Martinelli moving the ball inside the penalty area. Bree standing him up, doing a good job, actually. James Bree to halt the progress of Gabriel Martinelli. Actually began the season on loan with Charlton Athletic, James Bree, and then was recalled in January. Adozie, who's just come off the bench for Southampton, with Manning joining in down the left-hand side, carrying it into Arsenal's half. And then the Irishman just hangs on to it for a moment, teed up for Azaz. Here's Yander, spreads it to the right side for Fellows. Larin in the box, Azaz is going in there as well. It's over the head of Larin, Saliba leaves it. He obviously got the shout from the man behind him, which was Ben White, and White taps it behind. And it's the Southampton corner, 1-1.
If it was a shout from Ben White, it was a key one, because it was a great clips ball into the far post from Fellows. Not an awful lot he could do other than just put it out off his thigh for a corner. But a positive play from Saints, sweeping from the left out to the right. Good start for the new substitute, Sam Adozie.
And of course, a nice story with Sam Adozie, because his younger brother Tom scored that brilliant late goal for Wolves a few weeks ago that denied Arsenal 3 points in the Premier League. Bree with the corner from the left for Saints. Out comes Kepa, hands reaching towards the ball, the left hand of Kepa. He got enough on it, and it's swept upfield, and out of play it goes from an uncertain Kasper Yander for an Arsenal throw on the halfway line on the left.
Yeah, Yander not taking any chances whatsoever there as the last defender back in for Southampton, but Kepa doing enough from that corner just to get a hand to it, palming it away from danger.
3-time FA Cup runner-up Kepa Arrizabalaga was in goal for Chelsea in 2021 when Leicester City beat them in the final. Manchester City-Chelsea already in the semi-final. The draw's tomorrow. At the moment, we're destined for extra time at St Mary's. Moving towards the final 15 minutes, 1-1 between Southampton and Arsenal. West Ham leads tomorrow, live on 5 Live. Kyle Larin, the Canadian, tries to just, with the inside of his right foot, play a pass high up on that right side for Fellows, but he didn't get the purchase right at all on the pass, and it's a throw to Arsenal. Calafiori's not going to be able to take just yet, because there is going to be another Southampton change, and off comes 21-year-old Cameron Bragg, and on in his place a straight replacement in that central midfield area for Southampton, Shea Childs. So that's another former Manchester City player on the pitch facing Arsenal here. We've got Shea Childs, Taylor Harwood-Bellis and Sam Adozie out there.
That's right, a number of them now, but deserved round of applause for young Cameron Bragg. He's done well in there today. Broken things up, kept things simple, protected the back four when he's had to.
Shea Childs, who scored an absolutely extraordinary goal here in Southampton's last game against Oxford United before the international break. He was more than 30 yards out when he ran onto a ball that was cleared from a corner and just very leisurely stroked it with his right foot, which curled out and then curled back in beyond the Oxford goalkeeper into the top corner. It was probably one of the great Southampton goals of recent years.
It's a fabulous strike, wasn't it? And I'm sure every time he tells the story, it's going to be an extra yard or two out from where he actually struck it. But yeah, certainly some distance out. I guess when those long-range efforts go in, you often look at goalkeepers, but you've got to credit him for the strike that he did on that day. I'd love to see him get another one tonight.
So the goal scorers tonight, Ross Stewart for Southampton in the 35th minute, Victor Gyökeres with the equaliser for Arsenal in the 68th. And this game, which has had such intensity to it tonight for the first time really all night, has just dipped down a gear, but maybe it's about to pick up again with Havertz down towards the byline. Manning was too strong for him, but then Madueke gets it back and then hurdling a challenge. Can't keep the ball in play by the byline. Goal kick.
Yeah, it's just starting to real, getting into that chess game scenario of football, isn't it? How much do you push to try and get the winner? Do you hold out and try and take it to extra time a little bit? Just those thoughts will be going through the minds of the managers and the players, I'm sure. How much do they press and gamble, if you like, to take that little extra chance to maybe get the winning goal in this tie?
And both, I think, will be well aware that they play on Tuesday night in very important games with Arsenal against Sporting in the Champions League, which we'll have live for you on 5 Live. And I imagine we'll have updates from Southampton's game in the Championship against Wrexham as well.
Well, if you're either of those sides facing either Southampton or Arsenal tonight, you'll be hoping that this game does go to extra time, wouldn't you? Just a matter of days before the next game is around the corner, so they'll happily see this match this evening go into extra time to just burn that little bit more energy in these players' legs.
So Arsenal making their last change of the 90 minutes here, which is their 5th substitution. Kai Havertz coming off and Martin Zubimendi is on. The Spaniards, who, like many of his Arsenal teammates, had some injury concerns during the recent international break, but he's fit enough to take his place on the pitch tonight for Arsenal. As the ball runs all the way through to Kepa, the Arsenal goalkeeper, 15 yards outside his box, and then Saliba goes back to Kepa again, and his 11th appearance of the season tonight. The Arsenal goalkeeper, the Arsenal second choice goalkeeper. How do you think he's done, given everything that happened in that League Cup final against Manchester City?
Yeah, he's looked pretty solid, hasn't he? I'll cast my mind back, depending how the outcome of this game goes, Chris, to the chance that Tom Fellows had and the one that hit the bar from Leo Cienza as well. But Kepa got a touch on that one from Fellows, and that could have been made all the difference. But yeah, he's had a pretty steady game tonight.
Southampton holding Arsenal, and we are hurtling towards the final 10 minutes of this game at Saints' Home, St Mary's. Been here since 2001. Obviously spent more than 100 years at the Dell, somewhere you played many times, Franny Benali, which was iconic for many reasons, if not the shape of one or two of its stands. Sure, it's I mean, it no longer exists now, the Dell, unfortunately, but it's a place I'm sure you hold very close to your heart.
Certainly do, yeah. A very unique football stadium, as you say, like many others around the country. But focus and attention is very much on the here and now and today and what this current side can do.
Saliba trying to slip it through. Manning from left back stops that for Southampton. Finazaz just having a problem trying to get past Norgard in midfield, who stands in his path, and Arsenal reset things with one of their recent changes, their most recent change from the bench, Martin Zubimendi. Calafiori takes it off him, and then he takes it back again, the Italian. Great disappointment for the Italians not getting to another World Cup. That's Going to be 3 missed in a row for the Azzurri as Manning hoiks it over his own shoulder to clear from the left-back position for Saints. 1-1 the scoreline. Madueke tussling with him again, Manning. And Arsenal getting it back on this right-hand side. But you definitely sense that the tempo, given what we'd seen across 75 minutes, has come down a notch in the last 5 or so.
It has, and you know, I feel in the game as well, Arsenal are the more comfortable the sides in the more recent minutes as well. You know, they just seem that little bit more comfortable on the ball, a little bit more time on the ball. Southampton have just sort of not run out of gas, but you know, the intensity there of the game, as you say, has just dropped a little bit, and Arsenal certainly look the more dangerous at this moment.
Dalman trying to feed it into the penalty area. It didn't quite drop towards Zubamendi, and it's come out of the box to Finn Azaz, who's managed to play a brilliant ball down the right-hand side. How's he located that pass for Edozie, who is high up? In fact, Shea Charles on that right wing. He's got support coming here. Shea Charles. Carl Larin is in the box. Edozie's in there as well. Saints are working it from the right over towards this left-hand side with Fellows. And Wood joining in, but not fancying a progressive pass there. Nathan Wood, he's gone back to the halfway line for Harwood Bellis again.
Yeah, and there was a slight groan from 1 or 2 supporters, wasn't there? But I feel that the position Carl Larin was in, he was quite tightly marked, and maybe he wasn't the best player to play it into that position. But Southampton have got to stay positive, and they want to get it to players like Sam Edozie, but they need to get the ball higher up the pitch and try and take the Arsenal players on. Again, they're just, as on that occasion, losing possession. This is where you just feel that the game's just fallen away from Southampton a little bit.
Mikel Arteta is getting very active, even by his standards, down in his technical area right now, the Arsenal manager, as the ball ekes through to Max Dalman. Just got underneath the boot of Shea Charles to reach him. Madueke, the layoff, back to Dalman. Dalman with the left-footed shot, and Perez makes an exceptional save, almost at full stretch, the Southampton goalkeeper, to push it behind for a Arsenal corner. That was nearly another special Max Dalman goal.
It's a very, very good save, and it was good play from Arsenal. An element of it being a decent height, but he's still got to save it, and he's maybe not quite at the maximum stretch, but he's still had to do very, very well, Perez, to make that save, push it around the post for a corner. But good play from Arsenal again, just getting into the back line of Southampton that little bit easier now.
1-1 on 5 Live and on BBC Sounds. Martinelli, short corner for Arsenal. Work to the edge of the penalty area, about 10 yards outside the box of Madueke. Now there's a lot of room. The low shot, which is wide of the post, from Gabriel Martinelli, who skips a couple of times after seeing that ball zip past Daniel Perez. Right-hand woodwork. Skips of disappointment from the Brazilian.
Yeah, he'll be thinking he's got to at least hit the target there. Just pulls his shot wide of the post. Not for the first time. It was a well-worked corner from Arsenal. Just creates those little opportunities. They don't just sling it in all the time. They work that short corner. Good movement, get the overload, and it often results in, as we saw there, an opportunity on that goal.
Do you sense there is tiredness now in this Southampton team? Is there another gear to come? Maybe now. Fellows with some pace, running into the penalty area. The low shot! Oh, Southampton score! Shea Charles! Southampton lead Arsenal again! From nowhere, Shea Charles, off the bench, has beaten Kepa Arrizabalaga with a low drive into his bottom right-hand corner. And with 5 minutes to go, Saints back in front in this FA Cup quarter-final. And they're believing all around us now.
Well, you asked the question whether Saints could get back in, literally as that attack was taking place. VAR will maybe look at this, because the shot from Shea Charles, Carl Larin is making a run across the goal, but it's not interfering with playing whatsoever. And Shea Charles, you spoke about that long-range effort that he scored against Oxford City in the Championship. He's now scored a slight side-footed range at short distance. and it even gets Thunder Eckhart punching the air. The Southampton fans are ecstatic. What a response.
The goal from the Northern Ireland international. Arsenal are in big trouble here. 4 minutes to go, and they are 2-1 down against Championship side Southampton.
But they've got to find something quick, and they've got to find something special, Chris. The goal that they scored was a good one. It was deserved as well. The substitutions at that time made a difference. But they've got to sort of get something from somewhere which you haven't seen. Shortly before that shot from Martinelli, which wasn't even on target. Saints have pretty much gone up the opposite end of the pitch and scored at a key moment of the game.
There's a buzz. There is such a buzz all around this ground. Here's Dalman, who just a couple of minutes before that had seen his shot saved by Peretz. Madueke inside Southampton's final third on the right, just slaloming between challenges, going from the right-hand side. It's come out to the left. The delivery from Calafiori, the flick on, the header away by Manning. Arsenal trying to keep it alive. They can't do that. Headed forward again by Mosquera, and then Kyle Larin on the halfway line, but under pressure from Saliba. His header's gone in the wrong direction, and Martinelli picks it up for Arsenal. Gyökeres, 5 yards outside Saints box. Martinelli, Arsenal short on time all of a sudden. Norgard, few yards outside Saints penalty area. Yellows the chant from the Southampton supporters as Martinelli looks for the angle. His cross is blocked, and it's prevented from going behind for a corner as well by Yander. It's an Arsenal throw instead on the left.
James Bree's done brilliant one-on-one against Martinelli there. Not only did he get the block in, but he managed to stop it going for a corner.
In comes the delivery from the left, and Peretz takes it in his near post. And I imagine that roar you heard when Peretz got hold of the ball there, you're going to hear it every time Southampton reclaim some sort of control in these final few minutes.
We will. I think every take like that, as you say, every pass, every tackle, every header will get greeted with that kind of cheer. They're going to try and cheer the side over the line, but we've got to say we've got to be in for a few minutes added time, I'm sure, as we tick towards the 90 minutes.
Well, 2 weeks ago, Arsenal were still in line for the potential of a quadruple. 4 became 3 against Manchester City. And with 90 seconds plus stoppage time to go here, 3 might very well about to become 2 for Mikel Arteta's side in terms of potential silverware.
Indeed, and if it does play out like that, Chris, there will be the question marks asked.
Here's Dalman. Can he make the magic happen? He's side to the ground. It's a free kick to Arsenal. A yellow card for Yander as well, who was the offender who plunged at the feet of Max Dalman, who has been one of Arsenal's brighter players tonight for sure. And they've got a set-piece opportunity here for Franny Benali Arsenal, centrally, but a good 13 yards perhaps from the edge of Southampton's penalty area.
Yeah, it's pretty much middle of the goal, isn't it, in line with the penalty area, but it's a long way out. One of those positions where you don't really often see a free kick, really, Chris, isn't it? But there's a number of Arsenal players stood over the ball deciding how they're going to do it and what they're going to do.
Madueke is there, Gyökeres is there, Martinelli and Norgard. There's 4 of them all around this ball. Almost as if it's a crisis meeting for Arsenal.
Yeah, and we're seeing Arteta's almost agitated in the technical area, as if, I can only assume it's not as many minutes as he would like to see go up for added time. He's maybe heard, he's had a nod from one of his staff, and it's 6 minutes.
6 minutes of added on time. And this Arsenal free kick, dead centre, 11 yards outside the Southampton penalty area. Madueke and Gyökeres, the 2 players over it. They're 2-1 down. Gyökeres ploughs it into the Southampton wall, and then Ben White misplaces his pass, so it's gone all the way back to Kepa, and Kepa's giving it to White, and White's got nowhere to go, and he's had to go back to Kepa under pressure from Finazaz, and Kepa has just launched it out of play, and it's a Southampton throw on the halfway line on the left.
Well, you've got to say he was under a lot of pressure by 2 Southampton players, but maybe he could and should have done better with his kick rather than putting it out on the halfway line. maybe just punting it into the final third of Southampton where a number of his players were, so it wasn't a good kick.
In terms of recent years, Franny, where would this rank for Southampton if they were to knock Arsenal out in terms of great Saints performances?
It'd have to be right up there. If they can see it out, Chris, it would be an incredible achievement.
Fellows running at the Arsenal backline from the right wing into the area on his left foot, trying to get it to Shea Charles. That would have been the same combination that led to the Southampton goal. And then all of a sudden they're exposed down the other end. Martinelli skipping forward up to the edge of the penalty area. He's on his own right-footed shot and straight at Perez. No way through for the Brazilian Martinelli.
Yep, it was a dangerous breakaway, wasn't it? Saints just making a little area just outside the 18-yard box at Arsenal. Arsenal raced down the other end, but not for the first time tonight. It's just gone into the more than safe and capable hands of Daniel Peretz.
Norgard lifting it out. Arsenal still coming strong in stoppage time. Madueke, left-footed, bends shot over the bar, over and wide of Daniel Peretz, crossbar and post.
Look at the reaction it gets from the home supporters. I'm sure Ryan Manning would have wished that the young Samadozi on as a substitute would have maybe tracked back a little bit quicker to help him out. He was one-on-one. And there you go, the Saints supporters are on their feet.
This is the sound of St Mary's. They are 3 minutes away.
I know we're on the edge of something special here tonight.
Is Wembley genuinely awaiting Southampton? This Saints team that in November, when they dismissed Will Still, were 21st in the championship table. They were worrying about relegation, and now they're thinking about promotion, and a great cup upset as well. But it's not over for them yet, because Dalman has been fouled by Manning. Manning is already on a yellow card, but I don't think he's going to get one. But Martinelli is, for something he's said to Sam Barrett, the referee.
Must have been something he said. Ryan Manning needs to speak to Samadozi to help him out now, to give him some cover and support. He's gone down a couple of times and he's been stretching his calves off as if he's got a little bit of cramp. So he doesn't want to find himself in a one-on-one position out wide now at this moment.
I'll tell you what, Franny, he wasn't put for saying something, Gabriel Martinelli. He came over and he pushed the referee to get to the ball quicker.
Really? I missed that.
Just a little shove on Sam Barrett, who quite rightly said, you can't do that. Arsenal free kick. 94th minute. Southampton 2, Arsenal 1. 5 Live and BBC Sounds. One of the great FA Cup quarter-finals, I would say, of recent years. Dalman to White, edge of Southampton's penalty area, in by Madueke, crowded 6-yard box. Oh, out to Calafiori, who hits it on the half volley over the crossbar. Another chance wasted for Arsenal. Time is disappearing for them.
Yeah, we're under 2 minutes now, Chris. And the reaction it's getting from the home supporters. Southampton are on the verge of an incredible victory. Arsenal have only they've been defeated, is it 4 occasions only this season? Is it 4 or is it 5?
Well, I'll tell you this, Franny. They've won 45 of their last 48 FA Cup games against teams outside of the Premier League. The only teams that have beaten them in that time, Blackburn in 2013 and Nottingham Forest, who did it twice, 2018 and 2022. It doesn't happen very often, and Saints are close to making it happen as Larin, with his hold-up play, gives it to Fellows. Fellows into the box, right-footed shot, pushed over the top by Kepa, behind for a Southampton corner. They're on the front foot in the last 60 seconds.
I was willing Fellows to drive to the corner flag, and I'm very surprised that he didn't, to be honest, but he got his shot away. He's won inside a corner, and it looks like the staff are looking to make a substitution as well, just to maybe run the clock down that little bit more. But I'm sure this ball is not going to be coming into the 18-yard box. Big Carl Larin, the centre forward, has gone out.
Everyone around us is on their feet. Every Southampton fan that I can see inside this stadium on their feet. The corner for Saints, which they try and hang on to down by that quadrant. They can't do so. So it's out for an Arsenal goal kick. but we have just about reached the 6 minimum minutes of added time. And those Saints fans are going to whistle until they hear the sound of the whistle that matters, that of Sam Barrett. Arsenal on the very cusp of exiting the FA Cup tonight. Here on 5 Live, you've heard it all with us. Long ball forward for Gyökeres. Too long. Wood sees it out of play. He pumps his fist. The Southampton fans run down the stands towards him. They want to start celebrating already. They are that close now, Southampton, to toppling this Arsenal team.
And we're seeing that change for Southampton now. Ryan Manning, who I said was struggling a little bit with cramp. And listen to the crowd. That's got to be it. As soon as this goal kick gets taken by Daniel Peres, you'd have to say that the referee would have to blow his whistle.
There are multiple Southampton fans around us with their phones out. They want to capture the magic moment. The videos are recording the tinfoil FA Cups with 1976 plastered all over it, being waved frantically. Peres still hasn't taken the goal kick. Now he has. Still no whistle from Sam Barrett. One more chance maybe for Arsenal. Martinelli tumbles over, picked up by Calafiori. Left-hand side, halfway inside Southampton's half. This has to be it for Arsenal. In it goes, away by Yanda. And the whistle blows! Southampton have knocked Arsenal out of the FA Cup! And the memories of 1976, 50 years on, come flooding back for Saints fans everywhere.
What a result. Just look what it means to the supporters and the players. They're absolutely ecstatic. I'm proud of them, Chris. They deserved it tonight to bounce back from falling back on level terms. They got ahead with a great goal. A mistake from Ben White. They had a couple of chances that I thought might have been punished when Arsenal got their leveller. But to bounce back and score through Shea Charles is absolutely incredible. What an achievement against what is a formidable Arsenal side, but they were short of their big stars tonight, and that's going to be a question mark that is going to be put to Mikel Arteta this evening, I'm sure.
Que sera, sera, being sung in unison by the Southampton fans. They are going to the most unexpected Wembley FA Cup semi-final. But what about Arsenal? From 4 to 3, and now only the potential for 2 trophies this season for Mikel Arteta. This was not part of the Gunners' plan.
No, 100% it wasn't. And it was always going to be a tricky game coming here to St Mary's. Southampton always had that belief and confidence of what they've done in the Championship recently. It was always going to be a difficult game, Chris. And scoring first like they did would have been the ideal, perfect game plan. And Arsenal responded to that in the second half. The tempo of the game dropped off a little bit, but Southampton were absolutely brilliantly sticking to their belief that they could still get back into the game, not go into extra time. And now they can go to Wrexham on Tuesday night just absolutely on cloud 9, but it is back to business. Enjoy tonight, enjoy the celebrations of being in the cup draw for tomorrow, but let's get back to work in the Championship again. And for Arsenal, they've got a game against Sporting where there will be huge amount of question marks on them for the rest of the season.
Tears in the eyes of some Southampton supporters, faces of disbelief in the away end. Another potential trophy has vanished for Arsenal at the hands of Championship side Southampton. Ross Stewart put Saints ahead in the first half. Victor Gyökeres looked like he'd helped to provide the rescue act for Mikel Arteta's team, but Shea Charles, King Charles tonight for Southampton, has won the game with 5 minutes to go, and Southampton are going to an FA Cup semi-final. Southampton 2, Arsenal 1.
The story of this FA Cup quarter-final weekend coming here on 5 Live Sport on Saturday night. Southampton 7th in the Championship, knocking out the Premier League leaders Arsenal. bedlam in the stands, tears in the eyes of some fans, as Chris was saying. But Franny, in the middle of it all, cool as a cucumber on that pitch, Tonda Eckert.
Yeah, I mean, I had reservations as the game was out playing the second half. I'll be honest, Arsenal, after they scored to get back on level terms, I thought they were looking more comfortable in possession of the ball at times, and I just wondered whether they were then going to kick on to go and get the second goal. But Southampton, to their credit, absolutely outstanding. Every single player to a man. They've played their part tonight. They had to play as well as they did. And it's going to be fascinating to hear Tonda Eckart's post-match comments, because he said before the game there were a couple of areas where he felt Southampton could expose Arsenal, and the way that they set about them in the first half, the energy that they played with, the tempo that they played with, they deserved that first goal, albeit a mistake from Ben White, and they've capitalised on a very special run that they're on at the moment, and they deserve it. You've got to say that they deserve it tonight, and I hope now that it gets an interesting draw in the cup for the semi-final now.
Yeah, semi-final draw tomorrow, and we'll have obviously news of that for you here on 5 Live Sport. But obviously celebrations for Southampton, but Franny, this Arsenal hangover that we talked about potentially being an issue ahead of kick-off, 2 weeks on from that League Cup final defeat at Wembley, clearly lingering. I mean, it's hard to put your finger on precisely why it just didn't all click for Arsenal tonight. Uncharacteristic mistakes as well throughout, and not taking their opportunities when they came.
Yeah, and I give them credit, to get back into it, the substitutions helped, but they just weren't that convincing, were they? And certainly the pressure that Southampton put them under in the first half, we said what an exciting game it was to cover and to watch for all that experienced it, but they set about Arsenal. I don't think there's been too many teams that have really gone after Arsenal this season, and they got their rewards because of that. They got the goal, and then that gave them something to hold on to. So Arsenal weren't able to find the questions that were put to them this evening, and people will start asking questions. Are those small little cracks going to turn into a huge crevice now, for what is to come? But in the Premier League, I'd have to say that they're pretty much home. It's theirs to lose more than anything else. The game against Manchester City, as Chris said before the game, is going to be a huge fixture still. But there's still work for them to be done on other fronts in the Premier League and the Champions League, and they've got to somehow bounce back very, very quickly in a matter of days.
You said, though, as well, when we talked at half-time, some of the players that Mikel Arteta, who he's left out today, no Declan Rice, no Eberechi Eze, no Bukayo Saka, that the manager will be the one with questions to answer, Mikel Arteta, if they didn't then go on to win this match. And, of course, that's the situation that they're now in here now. And, again, we've talked so much about the squad depth that Arsenal have now, but still choosing to lose out some big names and ultimately paying the price.
Yeah, that's clearly going to be the questions that will be put to Mikel Arteta, I'm sure. But, I guess none of us, in a way, truly know the reasons for those absentees tonight. I mean, if he's left them out, then it's fair game to be, to come in for that criticism, especially when you don't progress. That is the risk if that has been the reason, but if they are genuine injury and reasons why these players have not figured tonight, then that's a different question. So, ultimately Southampton have gone through. Arsenal have got to try and bounce back. But it's, from the Saints' perspective, what a night. Arsenal will go home with their tails between their legs, but they've got to somehow really bounce back very, very quickly so that this run that they're on, if you can call it that, or these 2 defeats that they've had in a short space of time, doesn't affect their Champions League campaign.
And for Southampton, you and Chris were talking about it in commentary, massive matches to come in the Championship for them. Wrexham on Tuesday, then Derby after that as well. I mean, it's about coming back down to earth in a sense for those matches to get those playoff spots in the Championship secured. Yep. But also, this is just going to do so much for the confidence, this momentum that they'll take from this into those matches.
It will, and I cast my mind back to Tonda Eckart's words beforehand. He said the pressure was on them to win the game. Why shouldn't it have been? Yes, it is Arsenal. It's the quarter-final of a cup competition, but Saints themselves are on a brilliant run, and I think that's a bit of the mindset and the attitude that Tonda has brought to the Saints team to go into these games with the pressure of expecting to win a game of football. They will have that clearly now going up to Wrexham, but it's very much like the game's over, thankfully, from, I guess, both teams' perspective, going into their prospective games this next week. They didn't have to go into extra time, so that's a bonus for both sides, but it will be very much a case of recover, heal and prepare to go again in only a matter of days.
Franny, take your neutral hat off and go and celebrate. Thanks for being with us. Franny Benali and Chris Wise bringing us the shock today in the FA Cup quarter-finals. Southampton, the Championship, beating the Premier League leaders Arsenal by 2-1. So Southampton joining Chelsea and Manchester City in the semi-finals of the FA Cup.